Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I am your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brasington. Today we are talking about all kinds of odd jobs and jobs in general. In my experience, I've worked as an engineer working with Tyco Electronics to make parts that ended up in spaceships and parts that ended up in the electrical factories. I've worked in other factories where we got to weld things together and make sculptures. This job in particular, after Tyco Electronics, was a welding factory across from Tuggerah Station. And across from Tuggerah Station, in this welding factory, we were actually working on a sculpture for the Queen Victoria building, which is in Sydney. It's a very historical building. And so working on this sculpture was, a big deal for everyone that was working on it. And anyways, I'm at work this one day. We've been working on this sculpture. If you can imagine, it's like a big seed, but the seed is a metal frame and we're working on the netting of the frame, and this thing was huge. I'm talking like probably 20 meters long, and we're welding all the cross stitching together. Then we're grinding back the welding that was there. This day at work, this fella's working on the welding. He's welded it together, then he's took his welder mask off, and he's got the grinder, and he was trying to grind the weld out. And I'm like, yeah, all right, fair enough. And I'm watching him trying to get into this edge of this corner. And I'm watching him, and he can't get in because there's this safety barrier on the grinder that he's working on. Anyway, so he thinks it's a really good idea to go and take the safety barrier off the grinder itself. So he's gone and got his tool, he's taken it off, and then he's tried grinding, and the grinder's going down and in, but it still didn't go into the corner there. So he's turned it around, so the grinder is now going into the edge, and the grind's actually coming back towards his face. And I'm watching this guy because I wanted to learn how to weld. Anyways, I'm just happened to be looking when this guy skimmed into the corner, went up the edge of the metal, and the grinder went flung up and directly into his face, into the side of his nose, and was still grinding. It went into his nose while he's standing there, and in shock, he's pulled it out of his face, thrown it on the ground, and the thing's still buzzing on the ground. I don't know what's happened. This thing's spinning. I looked at the tool spinning on the ground, went over, just pulled the cord out, and I looked over at him, and here's this blood. He's gone, oh shit. And the blood's just started to spurt out of this split in his nose, and he said to me, is it bad? And I said, yeah, man, it's bad. I'm starting to feel woozy because you can see the pulsation of blood coming out of his nose. He's grabbed it. He's ran into the staff room while I'm like looking at this trail of blood on the floor. I'm just like, oh my God, what the just happened, man? That was full on. I looked down at the ground, this blood trail, so I think, I've got to go and get the cleaning kit to clean this up. So I went and got that while they went and done first aid in the staff room on this guy. Ambulance turns up. The guy not going to hospital. They done the best work they could, but 3 days later, this fella turns back up at work, and he's like working on the same tools, but then the manager comes around with this plastic face mask and says everyone's got to now wear this protective barrier on their face, and they've got to have the safety guard on their tool, because this guy had every right to workplace environment. What he done was extremely dangerous and lost half of his face in the process, but then turned up 3 days later using the same equipment. So luckily, anyway, the manager thought of some safety precaution. But, like I said, guys, this is a new workplace for me. Cleaned up his blood trail. He turned back up at work a few days later, and I thought, you know what? I don't think I want to work here much longer, So a few other incidences happened after that. But after that shock of blood and this guy grinding off half his face, I just went, you know what? I can't hang around this workplace. I've got to leave. So in the long run, I ended up leaving that workplace and going into a whole new industry, which was a great experience. But the engineering course and the work that I'd done paid for a future career in social work, which is a whole new story. So please like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do these days.